Hey everybody, welcome to the daily update for Monday, January 26th. Oh, I got a crick in my neck. 2025, happy Monday. By the way, I'm listening to a really great audiobook. Let's see. It is on, wait for it. It's on Spotify. It is free. It's called The Cars Let the Story Be Told. The Stories Be Told. Really good. And, it reminded me of what a great band the Cars were and how amazing their music was when it first came out. So I highly recommend that. Okay, let's get to that old stock market thing here. So actually, let's go back here. Again, on Sunday, we had news break. Talk about potential intervention with the yen, blah, blah, blah. Futures took a hit. NASDAQ futures were down 200 points at one point. Everybody on Twitter was proclaiming that this was the big crash that they've been calling for the last 8 months, just like they did last Sunday. Didn't really work out that way. By the time we got to the open, the futures had stabilized. Some of them were green. And so we got this gap up here on the SPX, broke through the high of the previous day for Friday, and just, what do we have there? That's that 20. Holds most of the day, get a little bit of a sell-off at the end of the day. Same thing for most of the indexes, the exception being IWM. This is something I talked about on Friday's daily update. And on Friday's daily update, what I said, are we set up for perfection? And what I talked about was the setup that we had in the market on Friday and how I thought it was a potential good opportunity. Before we get to this, one of the things I was leaning on in that analysis was what we had seen in the Mag 7s. We were hearing a lot of big cap tech is dead. People have been focusing on the metals, on the rocks and everything. They've been going crazy. And, big cap tech is like your dad's jeans, the wrong brand and out of fashion. But one of the things that I noted on Friday, and which we added to the daily setups, was that Apple had held right at its 200-day EMA. In fact, I actually bought some Apple Friday before the close, which I posted in the trading room. So Apple got a nice pop today. But the point is, Apple had held it to 200. Meta had this 3-day run last week. Google was at all-time highs. Microsoft had this nice 2-day pop last week. We saw Amazon with this 3-day pop. We saw Tesla with this 2-day pop here. And even things like Netflix, which obviously is off its highs, but it looks like maybe the bottom is in. That we had that gap down from earnings, firmed up sideways, went higher today, a little bit of a consolidation. So one of the things I was postulating is that, was it time for big cap tech to get back in gear? And would we see some weakness in IWM, which had really run like crazy straight up here and was due for a little bit of a rest? Will we see some weakness there as we were set up in the SPX and the Qs to potentially go higher, maybe even hit all-time highs? So we saw the beginnings of that. I think what's important is this week. We've got a lot of earnings coming up this week. We've got Tesla, we've got Meta, we've got Apple, we've got somebody else in there. Now, the big cap tech names, a lot of them are rolling out this week. So it's going to be interesting if we get through to Friday morning and see where we're at. That's why I think it could be a make or break week for tech. We need to see some continuation. What I'd really like to see is 2 days of consolidation. Consolidate tomorrow, consolidate Wednesday going into those first round of earnings. Then we get some upward movement and then hopefully some fall through with Apple. We'll see. As always, the technicals will be our guide. So, all right, let's go through all the indexes here. And if you're watching this on Twitter, you can see the full video in the link in the reply. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the full video in the link in the description.